Hey there, I'm Doug Hamp. You know, this thing about the flat earth, it's kind of taken a lot of us by surprise that people would be teaching such a notion in the 21st century when there are just millions and millions of photos of the earth. There's been just millions of witnesses that the earth itself is in fact round. I've lived in South America. I've seen that the stars are different on that side of the planet. There's so many common everyday kind of things. Just the sun setting over the horizon, and if you're on a beach, you can sit on the beach and watch the sun go down, and then stand up really quickly, and you can watch it go down again. These are all really basic evidences that the Earth is round. And yet, somehow, this idea that the Earth is actually flat and that the Bible is teaching it has kind of taken some of the fringe community by storm, which I think is very unfortunate because we do know that there are some conspiracies out there, such as JFK and 9/11, that have incredible amount of evidence to support them. And yet now this flat Earth idea has really taken off, and I was reticent to believe that this could be some kind of a PSYOP or something. I don't like to automatically assume that it's some kind of a conspiracy. And yet, as I've really contemplated this whole idea, it began to just become clear to me that this is very likely what it is. Because what it's doing is it's really clouding the way for real good Christian research and Christian scientists to do their research. And so I came across this article Before It's News, which is a very conspiracy kind of website. It's got a lot of interesting articles, but they're not always vetted. So, take this one with a grain of salt as well. But I think the author makes a lot of good points about this. And he's suggesting that the flat earth is a psyop that the CIA black op designed to destroy the truth movement. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I do believe that many of the claims made in the article uh, are quite reasonable, and they're quite consistent with what we actually see is happening in this so-called flat Earth movement. So he says the flat earthers are being sent into every real truth movement to disrupt. As far as I can tell, that's basically true. It doesn't matter what kind of video that I post. I get flat earthers who are making comments about the videos. And, I'm a young earth creationist, which is already, for some people too much to think that the earth might be young. But there's really good science being done in those areas. But be that as it may, I'm getting now lumped in with flat earthers, okay? And anybody who believes in the Bible is getting lumped in with flat earthers. I'm getting people who are saying, "Oh, I came to Torah and because of the flat earth." Well, I'm happy if you come to Torah, that is the instructions that God gave us, things like, enjoying Sabbath, right? I mean, it's really a day off. It's a lot of fun, and not eating foods that, or things that God said are not food. Those are all good things. I'm glad that people are discovering that, and yet they're discovering it in conjunction with this flat Earth movement, and that's what really concerns me, is that when you associate two things, it's kind of like your grandmother and that perfume that she always wore. And when you smell that perfume, you think of grandma, because synapses that fire together wire together. And so what happens is you start thinking, oh, Torah, flat Earth. You start putting these two together, and now you think that they go hand in hand, when in fact they don't. And that is very disturbing, in my opinion. So the flat earthers systematically being used to disrupt and undermine truth movements everywhere. And says there is an insidious conspiracy at work throughout the entire internet, which seeks, I'll just go ahead and make that a little bit bigger here, which seeks to destroy truth movements everywhere. One of its organs of mischief is known as the Flat Earth Society, and its explicit purpose is to take down every single truth-oriented website, blog, and/or organization which permits an open comment section at the bottom of their posts and articles. It's true. I mean, I get inundated on my Facebook, on my YouTube, as do others. Here's how they work. Agents of the FES often begin by posting rather benign yet factual comments about NASA, which everyone now knows is a rogue agency which can rarely be trusted to tell the truth about particular scientific endeavors and galactic missions. That's a no-brainer that everyone agrees with. NASA holds out onto most of the truth and parcels out only the absolute minimum to the taxpayers who fund their space missions and other assorted projects. Well, okay, so yeah, we don't have to trust NASA. I have no love relationship for NASA. I don't think that they're, 100% lies. I don't think they're 100% truth. So, I take what NASA says with a grain of salt. But again, just because they tell some lies over here, it does not invalidate everything that they say as being absolutely false. So we really have to be careful because it's never black and white. It's never that simple. There's always these different areas of gray that we have to understand when we're dealing with any agency or any person or any website, right? Nobody gets it all correct 100% of the time. So agents of the FES often so the flat earthers then often take advantage of this universal hatred of NASA for their spewing so much deception over so many years, and they use it to subtly garner support for their nonsensical flat earth theory. That's exactly what I've seen. If I say, no, I don't believe that the Bible is a flat earth book, people say, oh, so you believe in NASA. So they automatically create this dichotomy between saying, my defense of the Bible as a non-flat earth book, and they're saying, oh, so you're now in love with NASA. When I don't think we need NASA to prove that the earth is round. But again, this is the kind of logic that is happening in these discussions. And, again, I'm shocked that I even have to discuss this in this modern world with all of the ample evidence that we have quite apart from NASA. All right, and that's really important to understand. And yet, I get attacked for being a NASA shill. I mean, people have said that I'm on the NASA payroll. Hey, you know what? I'm not. It would certainly help my bottom line if I were on the NASA payroll, but I'm not on the NASA payroll. I'm not a NASA shill. I'm not a spy. I'm not a Mason. Right? I'm not any of those things. And yet, those are the things that I'm being accused of, and that's the brainwashing. That's really what it is. It's brainwashing that's happening in the flat Earth camp to suggest that those of us who think the Earth is actually round, that we've all somehow gotten in bed with NASA and the Masons, etc., which again is just absolutely ridiculous. So he goes on to say, when the time is right, the flat earthers will then start introducing utterly absurd notions about the solar system and patently false concepts about the Earth's relationship to the sun. That's for sure. They justify their preposterous sophistry and wacky ideas by routinely outing NASA as a serially prevaricating government agency, which they are, and then using their well-known deception as a justification to overturn the entire paradigm of modern astrophysics. Talk about throwing out the baby with the bathwater. There is no astronomical scientific truth that the flat earthers have left unassailed. You name it: gravity, a spherical Earth, and other planetary orbs, rotational movement of the planets, planetary revolutions around the sun. They throw it all out and label it as NASA lies. That's absolutely what I have seen in the comments. I mean, I could take you through the comments that I get from people, and that's all they say. NASA's lied to us. NASA's lied to us. Okay, so maybe NASA's lied to us. Doesn't mean that everything that NASA says is a lie. And again, I'm not here to defend NASA, but I'm trying to be a bit reasonable to suggest that everything that NASA says is a lie, or that every photo that we're provided from NASA is a lie, and that's garbage. I mean, to think they have just a bunch of people working on Photoshop, that's stupid. And yet that is what we've been told from these flat Earth people. And so then we now have to suddenly try to defend everything that NASA is putting out, which is, again, is utterly unnecessary. So once they do that in a very public internet forum or chat room, website, or blog comment section, they begin to stir up a lot of trouble. Their pre-positioned sock puppets in the same forum, blogs, etc., who will, with apparent spontaneity, support their silly and stupid comments about the flat earth theory. Amen. The longer the comment thread, the more support to draw in the unsuspecting into their outlandish web of deceit and deception. They do this by presenting some entirely new and quite valid hypotheses, which do introduce such concepts that are related to the electric universe, or that propose that the solar system is moving through space in a manner which defies the conventional scientific wisdom. There are many instances where the current scientific paradigm does completely fall down, by the way, and the FEs will use this obvious the obvious flaws to take down the whole system of modern thought. Well, again, when you look at the cutting edge of science, there are people that are out there that are hypothesizing, theorizing about how this might work and how that might work. And in that sense, science really is self-correcting. That given 10 years or 20 years, they'll say, we weren't quite right about that. And I know a lot of them are God-denying people, but not all of them. Many scientists actually love the Lord. They're being drawn in because of the majesty of the universe, saying, wow, this is incredible. There must be a God out there. So to say that, FE is bringing people to the Lord, well, maybe that's true. But, the cosmos is bringing people to God just as much. And we know that there is a group of people out there that are diehard atheists, and they're going to remain that way probably till they die. Okay, fine. But again, this idea that all of space is somehow a NASA lie and that Satan is using it to befuddle all of us, that's just ridiculous. And yet, again, that is what they're doing. By so aggressively assaulting the conventional wisdom which is accepted by the vast majority of people on the planet, they then tar the reputation of the truth movement groups whose websites they have deliberately polluted with their obvious foolishness concerning their flat earth fantasies. Yes, these are flat earth fantasies. A massive CIA black operation. Many are now suspicious that these relentless FE initiatives are so organized because they have the backing of those government agencies and that do not want the truth about anything revealed. The CIA, FBI, DIA, and NSA have long employed this signature MO, which is determined to kill the messengers of truth any way they can. Now, again, I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, I really have no idea if government agencies are spreading this lie of flat Earth. I don't know. Um, but as many times as I've been accused of being, a spy or something like that, you have to wonder. So again, I'm not saying that they are, but I don't know that they're not. Ruining reputations has always been preferred to outright murder, which they also perpetrate when they deem it absolutely necessary. After all, the primary mandate for the company, aka the CIA, is to carry out their covert truth silencing black operations. The following comment was left on a major alternative website, beforeitsnews.com, which clearly delineates some of the major farcical, tenets of the flat earth theory. It's not really a theory, rather it's nothing but line of pure BS as the day is long, with a stray corrected fact thrown in to string the gullible along. That's true. So here's Street Jimmy. The original Flat Earth Society fizzled out after the Soviets launched Sputnik, a satellite which reappeared at intervals and seemed to prove the Earth was round, but a new defiant group of flat earthers have reappeared on the Flat Earth forums. The forums are adamant the Earth is flat, but very empathetic about the fact that it is not carried through space on the back of a giant turtle. Current flat earthers adhere to a wide variety of beliefs, some truly insane, but some of the core beliefs of current earthers are below. The earth looks flat, so it must be flat. Okay, honestly, this is one of the reasons. That's true. Number two, it's cheaper to take fake journeys into space than it is to journey into space. Well, it's possible that NASA faked some of the moon landings. I mean, who knows? But to suggest that all of them were faked, again, there's a reason for that. People really did see rockets take off and go into outer space. So, you know, we have witnesses to these things. I have a friend who is actually a rocket scientist, and he knows astronauts personally. To suggest that they're all just in on some big, huge conspiracy like the Truman Show, it just doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely garbage. So here's the second half of part two. And a global conspiracy has been embezzling all the money ever since the 1950s. 3. Satellite photos are easily faked, and the global conspiracy has been doing so for 5 decades. Again, this is a lot to buy. Number 4. Day and night are created by the sun orbiting a circle above, then beneath the North Pole. The sun also moves sideways, hence winter and summer. They think of everything. 5. People who think they've flown around the Earth have just been traveling in a big circle around the North Pole. Yeah, that is what they suggest. The Earth is like a pancake with the North Pole in the middle. 6. It all stays together because there's a big ice wall around the edge. Right. The oceans don't spill off because there's a wall of ice called Antarctica. The Flat Earth Society admit to being curious about what lies beyond this. Yeah, in fact, I challenged one of my former friends who's gone flat Earth to I said let's go to Antarctica. We can go check it out for ourselves. And he said, oh no, he would have nothing to do with it. It was too dangerous, too dangerous. He says, there's, the government is controlling that, and we can't go, and it's too dangerous. It seemed like a pretty weak excuse to me. Let's go see if there really is an ice wall down there. Let's go check it out for ourselves, and we don't have to keep, um, you know, guessing. And we can know for certain. We'll take cameras. We'll document this whole thing. I think he didn't want to go because that would utterly destroy his theory. But he just wasn't interested in doing that. Here's another one. Gravity doesn't exist. Instead, the Earth is constantly accelerating upwards, so the force of gravity is like being pushed into the seat in a car, see? So the whole Earth is moving up, but where is it moving into? I mean, if the whole Earth is moving up, does that mean that there's space outside of the dome? And if there is space, then why isn't the sun just out there? I mean, again, this whole thing just falls apart. It doesn't hold any water, so to speak. So it all tallies with Einstein, the maniac's boast, as Einstein whirs gently in his grave. 9. Photos from airplanes look curved because of the windows, and satellite shots look rounded at the edge due to the spotlight under the sun, which is only a few thousand miles up. And 10. An experiment proved that a 6-mile stretch of water was flat, except it really didn't. It was famously misread by previous flat earthers. So what it is being terminally retarded. So there have been a good number of excellent exposés written which completely deconstruct the real backstory to the CIA-sponsored black operation. What follows are some of the previous posts in this regard. So you guys can check those out. The flat earthers are being sent into every real truth movement to disrupt and destroy them. Flat earth theory demonstrates the alarming gullibility of people everywhere, and flat earth theory fabricated by the TPTB to distract from Planet X. Okay, possibly. So important note, the vast majority of flat earthers do not even have a clue that they are being used 24/7 to advance a sinister agenda to destroy the various truth movements around the globe. If they did have this awareness, most would leave the whole enterprise in a heartbeat. Like all CIA black ops, they are conducted on a strictly need-to-know basis and in a highly compartmentalized fashion, just like only the 33-degree Freemasons types know anything about the real plots that are afoot in the world, so too do those CIA controllers manipulate the flat earthers from afar. All the while CIA ever has to do is effectively control one individual who has been completely programmed to execute their agenda. Others who demonstrate similar vulnerability to the same programming are then chosen to lead the sheep wherever necessary. Well, that is so true. And they're following just a handful of people that are now the gurus of this current movement. And sadly, I had to disassociate myself from one of those leaders because he was absolutely convinced that the earth is flat and the Bible is teaching that. And I think that's a patent lie. It's not true biblically, it's not true scientifically, it's not true linguistically when you look at the words in the Bible. And I have been doing my very best. Segue into flat earth crazy land is but a detour they must take in order to get real after they become aware that they have been profoundly deceived. And that's where I think the real sadness comes, is that these people are very zealous, they're genuine in their zeal, but they're truly deceived. And when they wake up and realize that they were deceived, and they've been claiming that the Bible really is a flat earth book, they're going to be sorely deceived. And I'm afraid that they may leave Christianity altogether because they got so hoodwinked by so-called Christians, many who are Christians, but they got hoodwinked that it's going to leave such a bitter taste in their mouth that they'll want to just flee and say goodbye. They've been thoroughly brainwashed to understand the flat earth theory as truth and are mind controlled to see themselves as modern day Galileos. True. In light of their cohesive organization, they have learned how to work in a concerted effort to quickly victimize the unsuspecting. Their primary weapons are little and big lies that NASA has told, as well as some glaring gaps in the current astrophysics paradigm. It's true that each successive paradigm has rendered the previous one partially obsolete as the world has evolved from the Newtonian to the Einsteinian to the quantum to the electric universe. So again, our understanding of the universe is gaining. There's no question about that. However, that does not mean that that fire is not hot and does not burn. These flat earthers would have us all believe that if they could, and much more crazy. Nevertheless, it's critical to understand such crazy making by certified crazy makers is quite purposeful. For CIA certified crazy makers such as these always have a covert agenda to execute and specific goals to accomplish. Hence, the challenge for many has been to avoid being caught up in their utterly crazy agenda. Otherwise, if we get caught off guard, we risk missing the gun grabbing that can occur in the wake of Orlando false flag mass shooting and the like. So interesting thoughts from this particular author. Don't fall for the flat earth. It's nothing but a false pretense. It is not based on any real science. It's not based on real biblical literature, biblical scholarship, and it's just preposterous. Until next time, take care.